Hello, my name is Tony, and welcome to my YouTube channel called I Will Be Your Advisor Today, or IBYAT for short, because that title is just way too long to put in the tagline. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in the automotive business for about 43 years. I've done pretty much everything in that line of work. I've fixed them, I've towed them, I've done parts, I've done sales, and right now I'm currently working as a service advisor at an import dealership here in Kentucky. It's a beautiful evening here, Sunday evening, Father's Day. So I'm going to kick off my channel. This is my inaugural video. I hope you enjoy it. I hope what I want to do with this channel is I want to help people who have questions about their car repair. People who are not necessarily car savvy. And they take their cars in to get repaired, and they're told things about their car that they don't understand. They're told processes about how things got to get done that they don't quite grasp, and they have questions. And unfortunately, in our business, sometimes those questions aren't answered clearly. Sometimes they are answered clearly, but there's still a little bit of disconnect because you know what? It may not be your wheelhouse. It may not be what you do for a living, obviously. It may not be something that you've ever had to deal with before. So what I hope to bring to the table here with this channel is information. Information for you as the owner of your car to make better decisions, to be able to understand when you go into the repair service, because let's be honest, when you go to the dealer or you go to your local repair shop, independent shop or a chain, whatever that may be, a Firestone or something along those lines. You don't want to be there. Let's be honest. Except some very very rare occasions, like you're really excited that you're finally getting new tires for your car or something like that, right? Uh, we don't have what you want when you come in to get your car work done. It's not like going to Nordstrom's and you're picking out a new pair of shoes, or you're not going to Dick's and you're buying a new pair of golf clubs where you're excited about it. You're coming to me because something isn't working or there's maintenance due and you're stressed about it. So that's what I hope to achieve with this. Uh, I look forward to interacting with people who see this video. I hope it gets out there. I hope it grows, and I hope more people can get something from it. You know the drill. When all these YouTube guys and girls get on here, like it, subscribe it, share it. It helps the algorithm. At least that's what the nerds tell me, right? So tonight, what we're going to do is the first subject I'm going to talk about is something that stresses a lot of people out: your check engine light. Yes, the dreaded little orange thing that looks like your engine. That light comes on and you have no idea why, and it stresses you out. Something is catastrophically wrong with your car. It's going to cost you thousands of dollars or more, and maybe you've got to get rid of your car. Who knows? So I hope to, with this video, spend a little bit of time explaining to you what exactly that is, what to do when it does happen, and what you can expect when you take it into a good shop that's going to diagnose it and tell you what they find. So let's start with, what is a check engine light? The technical name for a check engine light is the malfunction indicator light. In our industry, sometimes we use the term MIL for short, MIL. The MIL is on. You might see that in your paperwork. If you're having warranty work done, sometimes the dealership has to put very specific language in the customer's concern. So you might see something that says, customer states MIL is on, cars running rough, something along those lines. Okay, but malfunction indicator light is a light that comes on in your car when a system or something in your car is working outside of its parameters. It's not working according to specification. Currently, there is about 11,000 different codes that could come up when your check engine light comes on. So if it comes on, you pick up the phone, you call your local technician, your local mechanic, your dealership, and you say, hey, my check engine light comes on. What could that be? It's not an easy question to answer. You have to get the car in. It has to be diagnosed. It has to have the codes or code pulled out, by a technician. And then a diagnostic protocol has to be followed based on what that code is. What I've always told my customers is a check engine light code doesn't usually tell you what is specifically wrong. Are there exceptions to that rule? Absolutely. Of course there is. There's going to be codes sometimes that are quite specific. It might say oxygen sensor number 1, bank 2. Bank meaning you have a V6 engine and one side is bank 1, one side of the other engine is bank 2. You might get a very specific code. You could also get something along like a catalytic converter code, but even then, that's not necessarily super specific. But usually you get a code, and that number, it's a number, it usually starts with a P, P0171, P0300. There's a lot of generic codes that are in that system. And your car's computer, often called the PCM or powertrain control module. That's what stores those codes. And that's what the technician is pulling when they scan it. Now, it's very common, has been for years now, get a check engine light. A lot of people will run down to a local parts chain. It's AutoZone, it's O'Reilly's, it's Advanced Auto Parts. That's the ones that we have around here where I am. You may have some different ones, but those are the big main three that you're going to run into. They offer to scan your check engine light for free. Now, you need to be very wary if they say, we will diagnose your check engine light. Pulling a code and diagnosing a check engine light are two completely different things. One of them is just telling you what that code is. The other one is a trained technician who really knows his or her stuff, goes through a flow chart, a diagnostic protocol, and tells you, the good ones, the guys and girls who know what they're doing, tells you specifically what's wrong. And there's value in that. And that's why most places charge you a diagnostic fee to find out what your check engine light is, because that information is important. You don't want to guess. Guessing gets expensive. You start shooting parts at cars based on what they think the code might be, it gets expensive. And my experience has been, is when the parts stores give you that code, some of them now have these systems where they can punch in the code, and it's a computer program service that they have that tells you what is the most likely scenario of what that is. And someone might come into my shop and say, well, I went to AutoZone, they told me it was this valve or this sensor, and that's what I want to do. And I have to tell them, if it's not, you just paid me whatever labor it is and the cost of that part to do that job, and I can't guarantee you that it's going to fix it. And if it doesn't fix it, chances are you're not going to be crabby at the dude at AutoZone that pulled your code and told you it was an exhaust gas recirculation valve, and it's actually something else. You're going to be mad at me because we're the ones that worked on your car. So I want to stress to you, if you do get a check engine light on in your car, get it diagnosed by a properly trained technician. Do you have a family member or a friend who works on cars and has one of those scanners that they can use and they're pretty decent at it? It might be worth going that route. It's possible, but it really kind of depends on the person and what access they have. The equipment that most shops use to diagnose check engine lights, most professional shops, is very expensive. You can buy those little scanner code scanners to read the code in your car. You can buy them at Harbor Freight for less than $100. Sometimes I think even less than $30 or $40. You can actually download an app for your phone and then buy the little dongle that plugs into your car, and it reads it off of your car Bluetooth wise, and it'll give you the code, but it doesn't diagnose the car. And the way that I've explained it to my customers over the years is that a code that they pull out of your car for the check engine light, they're called DTCs, Diagnostic Trouble Code. That is kind of like an exit sign on a trip off a highway. You're going to go to Disneyland and you're driving down the road and the exit says, take this exit to go to Orlando. When you get off that exit, are you in Orlando? Probably not. Are you at Disney World? Probably not. Well, that's what that code is. That code says, all right, you're going to go down this path. You're going to get off at this exit, and you're going to go down this road through a diagnostic protocol that will eventually bring you to your destination, which is a proper diagnosis. And that's what you want to get done, because then you know what it's going to take to fix your car. Once you know what it is to fix your car, a good, reputable repair facility is going to tell you how much the part costs, what the labor it is to do it, with the total cost. That should also include the diagnosis. Some repair facilities will waive the diagnosis fee if you have the repairs done, and some won't. And the reason that they won't is the structure of the shop and how the technicians are paid. That technician has to get paid to diagnose the car, and then the repairs themselves is additional time on top of that. So that's sometimes where those costs come from. Depending on what the diagnosis is and what your car needs, it could be something as simple as the last place you went for an oil change didn't put your air filter box on all the way, and your car was sucking in too much air, and it threw a check engine light, and they saw the code, they popped open the hood, and they saw that your air box was open. And they closed your air box and they cleared the code out for you, and you're good to go. No problem found. That's the good news. Other times you're going to get it checked and they don't find anything right away. It's complex. Cars are getting more and more complex, right? Big surprise there. As we're finding out, more and more stuff is coming out in cars. Features are coming out in cars. It makes cars harder to diagnose. These things interact with each other. But a good technician will eventually find out what it is, and it could be something that's very, very expensive. And that's when you have to make the decision. If the car obviously is not under warranty, then you have to decide if you want to go ahead with that repair. And I'm going to make a video coming up that really talks about how to deal with the repair and help you understand some of the lingo. I always try to use real layman's types terms. I don't like to use shop speak. Because I don't ever go on the assumption that anybody that I'm talking to knows anything about cars. I don't assume that you do. I also don't assume that you don't. I just want to give you the information in the best way as possible so you know what you need to get done for your car, and you can understand it and help reduce the stress about it and let you know make the best decision for you and your family on how to fix your car. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Check engine lights, yes, can be very, very stressful. They can run the gamut of what's going on with your car. Everything from needing a tune-up, needing catalytic converter, needing an O2 sensor, needing a new gas cap. That is something that I did want to bring up. Oftentimes you'll hear that your check engine light is on, quick, go check your gas cap. I think it was AAA, or it might have been Consumer Reports, said something along the lines that a gas cap is almost never the reason for your check engine light. It's actually something else. Your gas cap actually comes on, the code for the gas cap is part of what's called the evaporative emission system on your car, right? That's a big $3 word, right? Well, basically all an evaporative emission system in your car is it's a subsystem of your emission system of your car that traps unburned fuel vapors. And it takes those unburned fuel vapors within a closed sealed system and deposits them into a charcoal canister. In the old days, when they first kind of came up with this, in the early days of emission systems on cars, and if you're old enough like me, you might remember this, there was a can underneath the hood of your car that looked a lot like an old coffee can, and it had a rubber hose or two going to it, and that was a charcoal canister. There was some charcoal in there, and it was used to absorb some of the fumes from the fuel system of the car that escaped. Usually unburned fuel vapors. A little more complex than that now. Most of those charcoal canisters are in the back of the car, and They're part of something else called a leak detection pump. And what your system does is your car's computer sends out a little ping every so many miles that you drive. And what it is it's sending out this little message all through your system, and it's checking everything out. It's kind of like that night watchman that would walk around a big plant or a big office building and check all the doors and make sure everything is okay and safe to go. Well, that's what your car's computer is doing on a very semi-regular basis. And so it sends out that little piece of information, and your evaporative emission system is supposed to be holding pressure at certain points, and then it's supposed to be releasing pressure at a certain point. And depending on when the car tests its system, it'll come back and say, hey, the pressure values are wrong. There's no pressure when there's supposed to be, or there is some pressure when there isn't supposed to be. So you have to test that system. It'll throw the check engine light. And if it's a code for the evaporative emission system, then there's another test that they have to do. And basically it's a test where they incorporate an element into the system. The layman's terms is it's called a smoke test. And basically what they do is they have a machine that incorporates, usually it's a form of like an evaporated baby oil, actually. It goes into that evaporated emission system in the form of a smoke, kind of like a vapor. And it goes into the system under pressure, and then the technician looks underneath your car typically for a leak. They also pressure test your gas cap to make sure that's actually holding pressure. And if they see a leak coming from a hose or for a component, then they know, well, that's the reason for the code. So it usually is not a gas cap. Now, that's not to say that it can't be. If you get a check engine light on and you run down to AutoZone and they say, oh, it's the evaporative emissions leak, it's this PO405 or something like that, can't remember what it was. Check your gas cap, it might be loose. Or worse, it might just be hanging there. But if you put your gas cap on, drive your car, the light will not go right out by itself. That's another thing that you have to understand. It takes some time for your car to run through its testing and make sure everything is okay. So just because you tightened up your gas cap, or just because they changed the part, if they didn't clear the code, it's going to still be there until the next test cycle. Gasoline engine cars, that test cycle is usually about 20 to 25 miles. It varies by manufacturer a little bit there. Well, I hope this was helpful. Please leave comments down below where if you have any questions, if you thought I missed something. Also, please give me suggestions on what you would like me to talk about. I've been doing this a long time. I've worked for multiple manufacturers. So there isn't too much that I haven't seen, but that doesn't mean that there isn't something tomorrow that maybe I won't ever see. That happened to me this week. So I look forward to interacting with you. Again, my name is Tony. Like, subscribe, notification bell, all that kind of good stuff. I'm not even sure what all that really means myself either. But I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. And again, thank you for letting me be your advisor today. Take care. God bless.